Hello YouTube, it's Itchy Sweatpants here, and today, as a request from my friend and personal interest, I'll be giving you my top 5 tips on how to survive XCOM 2 Ironman Mode. This is for the War of the Chosen edition, but these are general tips that should be able to help you in any playthrough. My experience is about 200 hours in the XCOM 2 game. This is with mods and a bit in War of the Chosen. I've only had this recently. So from my experience, I've compiled a list of 5 tips. Now without further ado, let me get straight into it. Tip number 5 is going to be grenades. They're your best friend, and especially early game, because your troops, your soldiers will be pretty inaccurate, and grenades are guaranteed damage. Also, as I've figured, is when you're playing without mods, which is what I'm doing here, cover is very destructible and grenades will take it out a lot of the time. That is great as it allows you almost guaranteed follow-up shots, as the enemy won't be behind medium or heavy cover anymore, which is great. So that's coming in at tip number 5. Now before I continue, just want to tell you that this gameplay is taken from me assaulting a facility, as the avatar program was full and I needed to quickly do it. This is quite a tough encounter, so I thought I'd play that in the background for your entertainment as I get on with these tips. Alright, so number 4, it was a tough one choosing the rankings for these tips, but number 4 is work the map well. The reason for this is if you're playing Ironman mode, there are no second chances, so you don't want to run out into a bunch of enemies that you had no clue were there. My regular way of advancing steadily is if you have a scout who has a small detection radius, like the Ranger specialized unit for War of the Chosen, it's good to send them in first, because you're likely to see the enemy before they see you at any distance. Another good idea is don't dash if you have no clue where the enemy is. If you run and it's a blue move, that's how I'll refer to it, you have options to react if you do unfortunately bump into an enemy. But if you yellow dash, you're stuck, and this can be pretty unforgiving. I play on Commander difficulty, which is 1 below Legendary, and if I don't plan my moves and I end up in the open behind no cover, it's very likely my unit's going to bleed out or die. Now, on to tip 3, I'm moving fast, is build a solid base of soldiers. This was a tough tip and I wanted to rank it higher, but the other tips I have coming up are quite significant and important and may not be entirely obvious to a new player. So I put this a little lower down. Anyway, building a solid base of soldiers means ideally you want to send your 2 strongest with your 2 weakest in the early game. Reason for this is just 2 strongest will be able to actually win you the missions, and that's very important as well. And having the 2 weakest will allow them to rank up steadily alongside them. With the new cohesion mechanic in War of the Chosen, it's also quite important to build a solid squad so they can start working together a little better. Also, ranking up allows you to increase your squad size, which is very important. Having more guns on the field increases your odds of success, obviously. And the only way to do this is by getting soldiers to higher ranks, which means you need to get through the missions with them alive. So I feel like building a solid base is probably the best way to achieve this. Okay, now on to tip 2. Don't use Overwatch. Yeah, you may be thinking, it's quite a good mechanic, it allows you to get the drop on enemies who are unaware of you. But my main reason for putting this so highly on the list is how incredibly inaccurate Overwatch shots can be. Especially in the early game when your troops will have considerably lower aim than later on. The fact that it gives you an aim penalty can mean you're just going to completely miss where you could have done something different, such as throw a grenade or reposition. So that's my reason for not using Overwatch early on. And now, for the number 1 tip. It's been a very quick video, but I feel like this is the most important one, and if there's one thing you take away before starting your XCOM 2 playthrough, it's that you should contact regions and grow the resistance. Okay, this is a tip based on the map, not in-game, but it's so vital because growing the resistance allows you to delay the avatar project, which will lose you the game, and you also get powerful bonuses for connecting entire regions. Okay, that's it for my top 5, but as it was very hard to choose which ones to pick, I have a few extras and I'll go through them now. One of it is heavy cover or nothing. So the reason for this is enemies in this game have very good aim a lot of the time, and if you're not behind significant cover, you're likely to get absolutely destroyed. And even so, it might not be the best for you. So you want the best odds of survival, right? So you pick the heavy cover. The second extra tip that didn't make it onto the top 5 but is still relevant, so I'll tell you here, is to dig deep with your engineers. The reason for this is that on the Avenger there are some areas such as exposed power coils which will give you increased power. The reason you want to do this is because it's much more efficient than building a power relay early on that gives you significantly less energy and allows you to build less buildings. The next extra is that there is a lot of durable enemies in XCOM, especially in War of the Chosen, especially with DLC such as Alien Rulers enabled. Therefore, having abilities that increase your team's chance of hitting, i.e. hollow target, and abilities that increase the damage enemies take are very important, and I highly recommend investing in those for those sort of fights. Okay, moving on, I have some DLC specific advice. The first is free abilities that don't use an action point won't trigger a ruler reaction. Therefore they are, in my opinion, the best way to whittle down these tanky alien rulers' hit points. My last extra point relating to the Alien Rulers DLC is if you think you're going to encounter one, keep your units as close as you can without them being at risk of splash damage. The reason for this is once the engagement begins, due to the ruler reaction mechanic, you're not going to really want to waste turns repositioning, because when you move he may attack you, so you want every action to count. So that means you want all your shots to land, you don't want to waste time moving. CC items, crowd control items such as the frost bomb and the bow are very important for these engagements, so try and have those to hand if you can. And that's going to be all my tips for this video. I may do another one relating to essential mods and recommended mods. I hope you've enjoyed this, and go hunt them aliens. See ya.
I got nothing. I'm hit!
This world is ours! Only the armor!
Some sort of psionic rift. I cannot begin to fathom why Dr. Vahlen would have allowed it to have this ability.
It's trying to make a break for it. Take it out before it gets away. Fan out your formation.
Finally.
I guess that'll be okay.
Take this!
Solid copy.
-1-5, status confirmed. Export charges been made.